Hello, I think I'm on. I don't hear anything. However, this is December. Oh, okay. Well, we'll start again. This is 2024, looking into the next season, because just a few days ago, depending where you were, it was the winter solstice, and today is December 22nd. We're right in the thrust of the holiday season. The solstice really ignites this with the light happening at the deepest part, at the darkest part, depending, here we are in the Northern Hemisphere. Let's just go ahead. There's a few details. We'll go into all of that, but it's a packed presentation. And thank you for listening. We are now ready for the turning season.
Revealing fundamental core consciousness, manifesting through the lens of vibrational astrology frequencies for the season's energetic theme for the spring and fall equinox and the winter and summer solstice. This is the Turning Season panel.
I'm Sue Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Robert Pacitti, professional consulting astrologer and the visionary behind Deep Earth Astrology and the Deep Earth Astrology Tarot, a divination tool and teaching aid that integrates astrology, herbalism, and natural reverence. I specialize in vibrational and psychological techniques and infuse my practice with a deep connection to nature's spirituality. I'm currently the Grand Pendragon in the Ancient Order of Druids in America and the director of the Magus Gathering in Gore, Virginia.
And I'm Linda Berry. I hold a professional astrology certificate in vibrational astrology from the Avalon School of Astrology, as well as a Master of Science in Social Work and bachelor degrees in psychology, mathematics, and computer programming. I teach vibrational astrology courses in the School of the Astrology of Vibrational Energetics online. I created Frequency Finder, an add-on to Cosmic Patterns, Sirius, and Kepler software. Frequency Finder provides an in-depth astrological analysis of your astrology chart. As a vibrational astrology researcher, I moderate a vibrational astrology research group, am an international consultant, a published author, and the writer of a free daily blog, The Vibrational Astrology Diary.
As an ancient mathematician, Pythagoras' music of the spheres about vibrating stars and planets, the electrical engineer Nikola Tesla said, "If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey there. We meet again. Yes, indeed. The solstice light is, well, it's pausing, just bursting to peek in. Well, we will begin. We're always, and it is the Turning Seasons panel, bonfires, the return of the sun, is rebirth, primal since the beginning of really time. Vibrational astrology, just to give a peekaboo, is about planetary groups of their frequency and vibration patterns. It's applicable, that's not a word. It applies to anybody. And the fact is, there is software about that. There are books about it and classes, which you will find out about. And if you have your later with time, check this quick key. It gives you what's been researched, the essence, the core foundation of that consciousness for the planets. Astronomically, the winter solstice is when the sun reaches 0 degrees Capricorn. Earth is tilted. Astronomically, that makes our seasons. And the North Pole at this time happens to be tilted the furthest away, although down south is the opposite. And their winter, of course, is in our summer. We'll wrap it up again with those great quotes because it is essential. It's not just today. This is like a new transmutation of consciousness termed in the language that perhaps we can vibrate with. To find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Tesla. And all things are in a state of vibration. We will continue with our great panel, Linda Berry and Robert Pacitti, right now. Thank you, Linda. It's all yours.
Okay. Okay, is this my, yeah, this is my slides. Okay. Now, the winter solstice. The sun is at its most southerly point of the year at the winter solstice. It's down closer to the Southern Hemisphere. And so we have our shortest day of the year, and they have their longest day of the year. And that was yesterday. This is a point of extremes. How can you be or fail to be your very best, strongest, and most capable? Winter's a time when we can take more time to examine who we are, what we have done, what values we have as a foundation for future actions, what we have seen and understood clearly, what we've distorted because of our own desires or the influence of others. How can we move to our highest selves? This is a problem because this little change slide thing is right on the slide. Well, we'll have to see how this works. Here is a chart for the winter solstice and the timing of it in the East Coast, the West Coast, and Hawaii. Got to include Hawaii there.
One of the things that I noticed in that chart right out of the gate when I was looking at it yesterday is this T-square that we have between Jupiter, the moon, and Saturn, and you highlighted that right away. But the theme that I really came from this specific pattern is a need for perseverance. The Jupiter and and Saturn and the moon kind of just in an internal sense of having its kind of regulated growth,
Yeah, well, definitely regulated, systematic, or ongoing growth. But notice this is with the moon, not the sun.
Yeah.
Which means we're talking about emotional growth and emotional balance. And the structures in space sign pattern for this, the primary part of it is Taurus. Which for this aspect pattern, this T-square, and the Taurus means that you grow naturally at your own pace. And we have two elements of that. Gemini, which is a lot of curiosity, go out there and explore things. And Capricorn, which is to not get too involved. Remember, this is the moon. Step back a little bit and have a more objective awareness of what your emotional feelings are. One of the big things with the emotional feelings is to recognize that you feel a lot of things. They aren't necessarily about the present. They may be about the past that this reminds you of. And you do not have to express and do everything you feel.
This is so supportive. When we speak of the emotions, it's a deep well. And I appreciate that extra idea of a little distance.
Yeah.
Perspective.
The big one is so many people, they feel something, they feel like they have to do it. That is not true. Okay. Now, we also have one really strong midpoint in the natal chart, which is Neptune at Uranus, Pluto. And this is interesting because the aspect pattern was very personal with the moon. This is very impersonal and universal.
Yeah.
tuning into the universal patterns.
It's a big
Being,
stretch. It feels like a big stretch.
yes,
Going
but
from
look at what these the sign pattern resolution of this is. It's Aries. And I think because this is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, this is tuning in and finding the Uranus, Neptune, Pluto point inside you.
Mhm. So, what would you define that point as being within ourselves, Linda?
Well, I think it's about going down inside of yourself, moving past the personal patterns, transcending them, and moving into the point of universal connection within you.
Mhm. That's a lot.
well,
Big,
it's a
yes.
real identity process, because that constant be curious, keep a little bit a perspective, objective, and yet try. Aries initiates this, then it initiates
Mhm.
that. It's a real
It's
tough.
kind of interesting here, going back to the previous one, we had Gemini there also.
Mhm.
But here we have Gemini and Scorpio. So explore things and really get involved in them.
Right.
Deep, deep.
So go do that thing that comes up from within you from the universal level. Go out and explore and get deeply involved in what you're doing.
Oh,
Okay,
that sounds good.
so now we're shifting gears. We have to get out of the natal chart into some other patterns. There was a very strong pattern in this solstice in vibration 35.
Mhm.
All right, you can see it here. See all these lines going across the chart, this great big lane across the chart. All right, so this 35 is intensely focused, internally driven interaction with and exploration of the world around you that brings a deep organic understanding of that world and your relationship to it. Now, that's the 35 vibration. Remember, when we're working with vibrations, the planets all dance the dance of the vibration. So if it's the jazz vibration, you don't get to do the tango, you got to do jazz.
Mhm.
So
But
let's
it is
go.
a playfully within. It's a deep introspective playfulness. I mean, just looking
It's
at
a
7
deep,
and 5.
what you have to remember is it's a deeply founded or foundation interaction and exploration.
Mhm.
Now, one of the really interesting things about vibration 35 is that really good sports people oftentimes have an extremely strong vibration 35 because they're
Mm.
going out and doing something that they is kind of like play.
Mhm.
But the 7 in there has them practicing it over and over and over and over and getting really good at it, which is the professional part. So this is an interesting area. Now here's the aspect pattern. We're going to focus on the Uranus, Pluto, and Jupiter because that's close enough to carry up to 70, which we're going to look at in a minute. Okay, so Uranus, Pluto, and Jupiter, intense need to expand through exploring and interacting freely and spontaneously with the world around you. And Venus, Neptune, beautiful dreams and ideals. So you've got this intense exploration and you've got these beautiful dreams and ideals. This intense exploration has a very spontaneous process involved in it, and it doesn't necessarily, it can pull against the dreams and ideals. Again, the cis on this, the structures in space science, this one is basically about curiosity, going out there and exploring, and you're seeking to connect things together that don't seem to be connected together way down deep.
This sounds like my story.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is I guess having the validation, remembering that patience, remembering the process
Mm-hmm.
keeps that perseverance going, because Taurus does want to survive in the whole business. It's just you can get sidetracked. But
Yeah, and there's
realize,
this other little side thing I'm just going to mention in passing. There is a stimulation of psychic awareness. We saw it in one, and we saw it here. That's the Uranus Neptune being part of the pattern. Okay. Vibration 70. We've got that same intense focus because it's got the 35 in it. But you're trying to reorganize things here.
Mhm.
So it's that same as 35, except you're reaching out and you're not just looking at and experiencing those things around you in the world. You are reorganizing them.
Mhm.
So here we go. Now it's the 5 planets are all really tight together. The sun's further away. That's why I only figured for the 5 of them. And this is about mutable energy, and that is really significant because it means be prepared to change your whole mode, or pattern of operation. Shift. There is a call here to shift to a new or different level.
wow. Okay, going back, Linda, to the first natal chart, only from the emphasis of the moon and that
Yeah.
perseverance. This is really, I'm remembering on the emotional basis, because as we take these dreams and involve them with other people, which is
Yeah.
teamwork, however it is, it's the process is keep going through the growth because it's emotional. In other words, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I got
Well,
it.
this is gonna resolve in the next slide.
Oh.
Because what we do when we're doing one of these structures in space sign patterns is we take the pattern in 35, we look at the pattern when it's conjunction in 70, and we look at its natal pattern, natal energy. And when we combine the 3 together, this big pattern in 35, 70 is the final overarching energy of it is Leo. And Leo is not what you think it is, folks. Leo is about developing yourself as an individual, tuning into and becoming the unique being that is the true expression of who you are.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, as a proud Leo, I would say that that's definitely accurate.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. Oh, to experience this, witness it in others. It's, and we need it too. We're working with networks. We need people that have strong identity to empower themselves through their own self. It's great.
Okay, so
I say,
think,
well, I say that. Oh, go ahead, Linda.
well, I was trying to figure out how long before the break.
Oh, we have let's see, about 8 minutes.
Okay,
Something
that's
like
enough
that.
time for this.
7 or 8.
Okay. There is an enormous resonance pattern in vibration 14. I picked this one because it was much lower vibration than a lot of them, which means people are more likely to feel it and experience it. Your inner pattern of depth and stillness, this is 14, moving out to interact with the world and reorganize how the world operates. This often involves getting together in groups that seek to develop some aspect of the self. That could be a meditation group. It could be a coach with a group of people who are playing a sport. Because when you're developing yourself in a sport, you are developing really deep aspects of yourself, whether you realize that or not. So let's look at this pattern. This is the start of it. I'll be giving the color of each line as this builds. This is the strongest part of the pattern. It's in 14. Remember, it's that process of developing and expressing your internal development. This is Sun, Uranus, Pluto, Venus. Seeing the beauty of your free expression of who you are. All right. This is the strongest part of the pattern. We'll get to it at the end again. Then here's the second piece. This thing, it just makes this beautiful design. And here we have Uranus, Jupiter, Pluto, and the Sun. And so the Sun adds the concept of doing this every day. And actually the new thing we get in here, the Sun was in the previous one. The new thing we get in is Jupiter, which is the expansion, the making it bigger, the blow up the balloon, folks.
Do you think that with this 14 as well, this may be a call to kind of find mentorship? It might be a time to find...
That would be one way to look at it. I like that.
Find mentorship, find guruship, find people that can kind of help you get through all of this, because it seems like one of the main patterns that we've arrived at this point is, this kind of, you said this Tauresian sense of, slow movement, was in the chart there. And then, connecting to the greater powers of the universe as well. I think this 14 being so strong could say, hey, you know what? You're going to need some help with that. You might need to reach to people that have a little bit more experience than you to kind of evolve that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So whether you want to get into a discussion group or a meditation group, or you want to come learn vibrational astrology in January, or whatever you want to do to help grow. No, this whole theme seems to be about going in, the whole theme for the winter seems about going in, examining yourself, look at what you're doing well, look at what's problematic, be prepared to revise yourself, be prepared to think of things and see things differently. It's all there. Okay, so let's see what happens with the next part of this. This is the yellow gold one. See, here we got this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This adds Neptune, ideals and visions into the picture. And here we have the Venus and the Pluto, a compulsive seeking for a kind of beauty and connection. Okay, now here's the next one. This does not add any new planets. We have here Sun, Venus, Jupiter, Pluto, which is a different way of connecting things that we've already connected in other ways. Okay, so what about the next one? Isn't it getting pretty? I love these.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going with the green. We're going around the outside. With the purple, we're again going through the middle. By the way, this is basically a 5-pointed star in case you hadn't figured that out.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful. I love it. Okay, so the strongest part of this pattern, the strongest planet is Pluto. The strongest pair of planets is Uranus, Pluto. And the strongest string, which I talked about at the beginning, is Sun, Uranus, Pluto, Venus. Okay, so a couple of things about this. Venus. First of all, Venus traces a 5-pointed star in the sky. Mm-hmm. Venus is about the process of going out and developing the life pattern, the organic awareness within you. And Uranus Pluto is about allowing yourself to breaking the barriers, allowing yourself to have the freedom to do what you need to do, to be who you need to be. And this is to go down below your anger, to go down below your pain, to go down below all of the confusion and everything, into the true core of your being, where you are connected into something that is more than yourself. And I'm not really being religious here, but it's a connection into life, into the universe, into an awareness that transcends your own.
And Uranus Pluto is, this is not a comfortable energy. This is not. It's not an energy that is going to be kind. And I think that, that message of the slow, steady, regulated growth emotionally is going to need to really be heeded here as we get deeper into these harmonic charts, because that the Uranus Pluto, you can find beauty. It's pretty much saying beauty's there, but you're going to have to go through these tribulations of these moments of breaking through.
Yeah, and I think too, as you were speaking, Linda, I was thinking to myself, well, with this immediate obsession of looking at what's right now to bring forth as we are curious and exploring and interacting, that one can, I was easily reflecting, well, I was not easily reflecting, but reflecting on how it's easy to use that Mars energy, just plummet. And then I remembered, no, wait a minute, we're talking about Venus. That means love. And that's what you brought up. So it's really, as you say, seeking down, because the Mars can kind of put aside those desires. It's a mixed message. We need to really center on what we, of the beauty, the love, the desire, the gift of loving yourself.
Right. Mm-hmm. Venus is at core. We in vibrational astrology, we seek to go down in and get the really core energy of each of the planets, for example. And Venus's core energy is attraction. Mm-hmm. And that's either you attracting other people or you being attracted to someone. But it's more than that. That attraction, that which is really, we have this word in English of love, that has to do with things that are attracted to each other. That attraction is the core of life, because if the very pieces of the atom were not attracted to each other, we would have no matter.
Yes, vibration exists. Here we go. We will take a break. We will be back. There is more to this picture. As always, join us, and it'll be brief. See ya. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, the furthest visible planet by the eye. By leaving a cycle based on meaningfulness and truth, Capricorn's energy establishes social boundaries in a structure incorporating rules, authority, and ethics. As a cardinal earth sign depicted by a sea goat climbing from the sea up to the top of a mountain, Capricorn overcomes fears through goals and ambitions to achieve mastery.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to newprosupplements.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, December 29th, it's our last show of the year, and Merritt and Beth Clifton from animals24-7.org are going to wrap up all the 2024 animal stories, events, and statistics for us in a nice package with ribbons and bows, and of course, the Jingle Cats will chime in with Auld Lang Syne. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Talk radio that will get you thinking. Alternative Talk 1150.
Hi, we're back again. And Nate, if we can just bring back the slides, thanks. You know, I feel during the break, I realized this is the time the diving board is on. It doesn't have to be too high, but I can dive. Feels like it. Linda Barry here has the School of Astrology of Vibrational Energetics, Dave at astrosleuth.org, and we'll have some slides. Robert J. Pacitti, Rob, with Deep Earth Astrology, has upcoming events always, and a tarot deck that he'll briefly talk about, and myself at Talk Cosmos. These slides you can look at later because it is on our intro and I didn't want to delete it. It's good information. But let's look at Linda's School of Astrology of Vibrational Energetics with the acronym of STAVE. And that's at astrosleuth.org, because in January, coming up, there are classes. Linda, do you want to speak a moment?
Astrology opens up such a world of exciting things to you. It goes deeper than the other types of astrology, at least than anything I've seen. And I got 50 years. So and we are going to be studying it and allow you to learn and help you to learn how it operates and how you can get additional information about yourself and other people from it. We have a new group of students starting on January 2nd. And just write astrosleuth.org if you would like. Well, actually, write Linda at astrologicaldepth.com. Or you can go to astrosleuth.org. Actually,
yeah, it's right there. It's got the button
there's
and a pop-up.
There's a contact form on the front page and scattered several other places through the thing. So you just go to astrosleuth.org, write me from there, and we'll get in contact and see if this is something that would work for you.
Yeah. In the meantime, you can also receive Linda's daily diary. It's a Vibrational Astrology diary, and just email her right there, same email. And in addition, if you begin to be more curious as this energy of curiosity continues that we're learning about, there's her special Sabian reports, and that involves both the moon and the new moon. And it's quite investigative.
New moon, full moon, and if there's a great big conjunction, that gets included also.
Rob, here are his details. You can certainly find more in his at Deep Earth Astrology at Gmail. And tell us a little bit about your tarot deck.
Yes, we've begun the printing process. We did our first first integration last night. We had about 40 druids here last night using the deck, and testing it out, getting some feedback, making any notes that we had to make, and it's very exciting. We're right at that point where all the financial decisions need to be made, and I don't know how much I like this chart for the solstice about that, but but yes, we're moving forward. It's very exciting. There's a lot of I've actually had to go back and make some changes due to my my involvement with vibrational astrology, and I think that some of these definitions of the signs prove to be very true, and we see them within all of the archetypal natures of the tarot. So very interesting. We're excited.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And here's myself, and I have expanded to another station, but you can find all of that on the YouTube, of course, and or their formats. I happen to be involved January 1st, just bring attention to it, with East West Books. I'm not organizing this. However, I'm co-host with a small portion of it, and it will be most enlightening, I'm certain. And if that interests you, here's the link, and it's with East West in Seattle, and it's $15. And of course, you'll get a recording. So January 1st. However, with Talk Cosmos, earlier this month, we had about the Mars retrograde. We also had another special with archetypal symbols that went into the different charts for the year, because there's different perspectives and different angles. And this is for the entire season, of course, that we're doing today, which is so enlightening. And at the end of the month, Astrojam, that usually looks at mystery charts, are going to enact charts on that mentality. We're still developing it, but Rob, you'll have to choose which planet you are. And
I'm excited.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Always the sun. Always the sun.
Oh, good. Okay, we have that nailed. Thank you, folks. Well, the light is beginning. And of course, thank you everybody for signing up. There's our link, and you can find it on my website and the channel for our insightful conversations to open your soul growth, our soul growth. Consciousness is paramount, and the inspirational from connecting with nature in its spiritual essence. Boy, I could go on and on. However, we are going to do that. Thank you. Go ahead, Liz. Linda.
Okay. Now, a different shift on things. We have two very strong quincunxes that we need to think about. The quincunxes, when you have a single one in a vibration, it shows something you've got to adjust, that you've got to shift. And remember, this applies to the whole world right now. Okay, so the first one is in vibration 7. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
The way you are when you're by yourself, the quiet place where you experience and work with yourself. And we have Sun, quincunx, Mercury.
I've really felt that. Really like that inability for me to communicate my own kind of, daily direction, and formulate an A to B thought process. It felt very Neptunian, but looking at this, it would almost express itself better as a quincunx between the Sun and Mercury, in my internal dialogue,
Okay, so what are we talking about here? We are basically talking about you need to re-examine and clarify your thinking process. You need to figure out where your blind spots are, where you are letting your emotions cloud your ability to think clearly.
It really does connect with that emotional part. I was just reflecting how they are attachments. Emotions are attachments. And if we have, for instance, many pursuing activities that bounce one after the other like dominoes, it's a matter of accepting and really beginning to love it for what it is in that moment. It's like create and destroy, allow the evolution to go on. It's a practice. It truly is.
And just from a connective standpoint, I mean, we're also looking at that circuit between Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune, and, kind of acting on these big expansive dreams, not being able to communicate, to clarify your thinking process. Like, I could see that being a really, a source of tension.
So it could be really learning how to express it in different ways, and also thinking about isolating things a little bit by little bit, because rather than having just run together, I'm thinking, like, for instance, go ahead.
Yeah. When we look at the moon and we look at what we have found to be the fundamental meaning of the moon, this really gets illuminated. Mm-hmm. What we've learned about the moon is stores the past and brings the past into the present. Our emotions are us looking at the current situation, and the moon's down in there and says, this is like this, so let's act about it that way. And so the moon by it can tell you about past things, and it's a great counselor that way. But if you just act as if the current situation is that past situation, you end up operating in a dream with no awareness of any changes in your life, and you are trapped.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well
Yep.
put.
Yeah. I mean, and then we have this, we're reacting to that as well, and that is including the trapping, because we see that circuit between Pluto, Mercury, and the moon there as well. That obsessive, thinking about the past, is kind of, driving a lot of things.
And this is where the mentorship comes in. Either mentorship, or I know I've been advised to both have a virtual assistant and an editor, because I have a book and someone told me I have 3 books. It's like, oh, okay. But I need an editor to, quote, organize. And in many fields, this is a synchronistic echo vibration coming up. Yes.
The big warning in this pattern is that there are places where your thinking has gotten disconnected, distorted, stuck, and out of connection with what's really happening. You need to find them and shift them, whatever that means. It's the only way we can get clear and have the kind of lives we want.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's deep too, because if we're talking Pluto, it can go back to past abandonment or rejection, deep things that emotionally really hold, maybe from past lives, this life, a lot of baggage and a lot of connection. So it's a deep process. Yes, it's no small.
Okay, we got one more. Okay, this is vibration 196, which is 49 times 4.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to write that on there. Being deeply aligned with a community that thinks the way you do, and taking action based on your deep common concerns. Now, Mercury Mars is the quincunx. You need to adjust, you need to shift your study, you need to shift how you study, how you learn, and think carefully before you take action.
Yeah, thought versus action, and especially in terms of there's a lot of talk about class consciousness right now, and when we get to these bigger vibes, we tend to see more of an extended outward view of them, and class consciousness with the whole Luigi Mangione thing happening right now. Alignments are shifting. People are seeing things they haven't seen before. I mean, action versus thought. What do we think is right versus what actions are we going to take? Like, very interesting that this is showing up there. And that quincunx.
And it's very interesting that both of these strongest single quincunx patterns have Mercury in them.
Communication is so central. We still have Jupiter in Gemini, and of course with the grand conjunction, all this air signs. But I'm thinking because we're all involved with social communication. Unless we can really communicate effectively, and that means not just from our angle. I'm thinking this as I say this, but with respect to others, it won't land. So thank you.
It's about connecting ideas. Mercury is about connecting ideas together and communicating that. So the communication that Sue's pointing out is extremely fundamental, but this is about looking at how you're connecting ideas before you communicate them as well.
Yes, but that's the process. Yes, exactly. Just to clarify that until you do that effectively, also with who your audience is, who are you really, what's the climate, as Rob you're mentioning here, the dynamics are changing, and we need respect to give homage to.
I've done a lot of research on the quincunx, and one of the most dangerous ones as far as, volatility is certainly going to be Mercury Mars. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The friction between thought and action. And, we've been very good, and look at 196. I mean, deeply aligned with a community that thinks the way that you do. Like this is like, okay, are we done talking and maybe it's time for action? I
Yeah.
mean, like
How
that,
do we balance thought and action? Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
can certainly be one of the cases of a quincunx relationship between Mercury and Mars.
Okay, folks. Now we get to do some Sabian symbols.
Yay.
Okay.
Ready.
The energy of the winter solstice, the distance from the sun to the moon, is 106 degrees, which is 16 of Cancer, 51, 17 of Cancer. The germ grows into knowledge and life. You are growing the germ of understanding that you have found into extended knowledge and a living vitality that transcends your expectations. The danger is that if you're feeling insecure and you keep your focus on what you already know and claim that is the whole answer, then you don't open up to the broader truths beyond it.
So let go and swim in the river.
The seed needs to be planted in fertile soil,
But
and
it's got to grow and expand.
yes, and without that, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, now that's the personality direct level, the soul intention level, a finger pointing in an open book. You are recognizing the messages pointing to your personal lessons, embracing your potential for growth, seeking to open to the evolving pattern of yourself. This whole thing is about we've got to go further. We've got to open up more. Or you can close yourself off and refuse to look at the message in front of you.
This is very connected to that first chart that we looked at with the
It
tar.
really is. This is like a combine, and this is the third one, the spirit wisdom. A woman pursued by mature romance is the symbol, the image of it. Okay, you are being pursued by a more mature form of love that you can open up to, bringing greater awareness of your internal beauty and your interconnections to others. Or you are closing down and rejecting the love offered due to adherence to social expectations.
This resonates going back to that moon that we brought up and realizing that if we're coming from the past, looking at our picture of life, it's often filled with needs, perhaps unfounded needs. And this here can translate that story into, I'm just navigating this myself to recognize on a higher level what those needs were supposed to have fulfilled that really are being fulfilled now by how one integrates it all and sees life for what it is. If I'm making, I hope, some good sense here.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Pathway.
Like, we have to escape the confines of social expectations and look to things that are actually going to nurture us and allow us to have a romance with those things and not just the things that we feel like we need to.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Okay, so this is a summary of it. I'm going to just put this up here for a minute because you can stop this and read it when you listen to the recording.
Mm-hmm.
And here is the pitfalls. So thank you, friends, for being here with us this day. May the winter help you face yourself and more truly know yourself so that your connections and your actions can more clearly reflect your highest and purest values.
Excellent. Well,
I
I mean, I think there's a story here. And if we go back to even when we did the first iteration of this, a year and a half ago, we knew that the action was coming, and the action did come. And, we're now at a point where we have to kind of be ready to change. And it's going to be a slow and a steady process. And the arduousness of that first chart with the relationship between especially with Pluto and Uranus. I mean, that is really what screamed to me there, is that you could either be on board or you can't, but you need to take that embrace of the more mature relationship, and we're seeing a lot of things getting broken free right now. I think that's really a big key of this. And this is, when we're talking about the winter solstice, we're talking about the return of the sun. It's
A time of rebirth.
yeah.
yes.
But it's also a time where we talk about the sun as being born, but something has to bore it, and the goddess power, the earth power, like that is all there, and we need to really be prepared to respond to how foundational changes in the way that we interact with the world are going to, what are we going to be on the other side of it, as far as technology, politics, socio-economic discrepancies that people are having, I mean, we are in fertile ground for, a very Pluto-Uranus time, of a very revolutionary time.
And we have Saturn, Neptune this next year, which is either about getting caught up in delusion or transcending into spiritual awareness.
I think what feeds into my thoughts here is remembering about Mars, and it's taking that personal risk to dive deeply into these mental, emotionally driven curiosities that feed who we are, but keeping some perspective on the greater picture of, because everybody's in the pot bubbling away in different ways, and the channels are getting off. It's a huge stream that's happening.
And Rob said we need to move into open up to what we're going to become, and I agree with that. But the thing is that it is fundamental that what we are going to become, we can't imagine right now.
I like this.
And we can't imagine it. We have to be willing to reach out into that shift, like the chart talked about, that shift and moving into a totally, what we really are is something we cannot even dream of. And if we will walk the steps, we will get there and we will discover it. But we have to be willing to take the journey and walk the steps into an unknown part of ourselves in order to find what we really are.
Then perhaps go ahead. I was going to say that part of the moon looking back is to remember those times that gave us the courage later that we did break and enter.
Well, I mean, one big difference between now and the other the other solstices and equinoxes that we've covered is this time Pluto is squarely in Aquarius at this point. We're
there for 18 years or something.
As far as Capricorn goes, I mean, we can talk about all of the concept of structures and things like that in our lives, and how it operates from a vibrational standpoint as being, very a collector of eclectic things. But moving into Aquarius cares about the greater good. And, we're really going to be seeing a move in that direction. And we've already seen it, this, I really do feel like this, the mix of the technological revolutions that we're about to face with also the societal revolution is going to be a very powerful combination for us to kind of have to actualize through.
The good news is that it's a constant discovery of oneself.
It is.
And also not in a mental, but visceral, right? We're doing things. We're getting feedback. There's that mirror. There's help along the way if we ask, and a lot to be gratitude for. So with that in mind,
Find your mentors. That's the message. Find your mentors.
thank you,
Thank
Linda
you.
Berry and Robert Pacitti. This is The Turning Season 2024 onward. And thank you, people. Blessings for your holiday, whatever it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
And may the light shine on you.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.